Network. Yep, I just got it. Yep. I'm going to share it to my page. Live with... You want me to do that? Well, I'm cross-posting it. So oh, okay. Yo. So search No Time for Nonsense. I'll keep an eye on. Gotcha. Okay. Why is it? This is so weird when I go to this page. There's like nothing to... I only see the front part. It doesn't... I don't know. It does this every week. I don't know why. Yeah, it does it. It's...
You got to add him as an admin because.
Oh, he should be. He's not?
Can you watch it on your phone?
I can.
All right.
Yep.
You can do that.
Yep.
Sorry, because I have to log in as me, unfortunately.
Nope. That's fine. I'll watch it on here.
Right this second, unfortunately.
Yep. No problem. Let me turn it on. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Next time I'll have it ready, or we can add him as a
Okay.
admin next time. I realized that I couldn't do it last time.
Okay. Okay.
1 minute. Coming into you, and then we're going to.
Okay. Actually, should... Oh, yep. Hey guys, it's Bill Vinci back with No Time for Nonsense. It's a Monday night. You know what that means. You're joining me back for another live show tonight. We got a good one for you tonight. We got Matt DelPiano joining us.
Oh, I lost you, Bill. I can't hear you. Oh, there
Okay.
you go. You're back now.
You back on? All right, buddy. How you
I'm
doing
back.
tonight, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Good to have you on the show tonight. Guys, we're going to talk with Matt and hear his story. But first, I want to go over a couple sponsors for tonight's show. First, we want to thank Joey's at 307 Out of the Way Cafe, Matt Grabsky in Utica, New York. Matt had some awesome specials this weekend. He had all kinds of seafood dishes. He had the seafood fra diavolo. He had haddock 3 ways. He's got a deadwood filet, which sounded out of this world. All his food is great at both places. Out of the Way Cafe, you can go to and get breakfast and lunch. Joey's, he's open Wednesday through Saturday. You can check him out. Give him a call. Put your order in at Out of the Way Cafe at 315-733-5060. And at Joey's at 315-864-3527. Also, want to thank Geddes Bakery and the Pappas family. Fantastic bakery in Syracuse, New York. Got some of the best all-around pastries, donuts, cakes, pies you could think of. Plus, they got even a little Greek section with the spanakopita and the baklava, which is out of this world. Give them a call at 315 437-8084. And also want to thank Angelo's Pizza in Auburn, New York. And I think Matt might know a little bit about this place growing up. Matt Bartolotto,
Yes,
great
I do.
guy. Yes, he does. Spent a little time over there. Matt's a great guy. He's got fantastic pizza, wings, all kinds of specials. Actually, a second sponsor. He did Mark's show, too. So I want to thank Matt and Angelo's for being a sponsor. Give them a call at 315-252-7911. Put your order in. Get some great food. So, guys, thank you for sponsoring tonight's show. So, guys, if you're tuning in, John Pappas said hello. What's up, guys? One of our sponsors for tonight. Give this a share. Share it with your friends. Get the word out on his story. Matt's got a great story, and looking forward to talking to him. So, first of all, Matt, I want to catch up, man, and it's been a few years since I got to see you. We're going back a long time now. I was telling your brother Mark about this. We used to hang out with you guys when you guys used to come down to Rome. And
Yeah,
you guys used to come to the
came-
house.
We basically grew up in Rome. I mean, both my parents were born there, and every holiday we were there because my grandparents were all there. So we spent every holiday and as much time as we could in Rome. I miss it.
I was going to say, when was the last time you were in Rome? It's got to be going back, right?
No, we'd always drive by and go to see my grandparents' grave sites and drive by their houses all the time.
Uh-huh.
So I think I was there. We didn't go home this summer because of COVID, but we went home last summer and drove through. I have an uncle that still lives there, so we still have family there.
I was going to say, it's got to be weird. It's got to bring back a lot of memories coming through whenever you guys come through Rome.
It sure does.
You got a big family. You got a big
Yeah.
family, right?
It reminds me too of the old school days when everybody stayed in the town that their family was in, and
Yeah.
and not only that, lived on the same street.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but East Dominic Street, that's where all the Italians and all the family grew up.
Yeah.
And they stayed there most of their lives, which was pretty cool. So, Matt, let's talk a little bit. Now, guys, first of all, if you have any questions for Matt or me, I'm watching the board over here. If you want to ask him a question, I'll read it to him, and he can fill you in on it. So, Matt, growing up in Auburn, tell us a little bit about your days growing up in Auburn and school days.
Well, Auburn was a lot like Rome, very similar towns. The main business in Auburn at the time, and still is really, is the Auburn prison. So a lot of families were connected to the prison. My father was my vice principal in high school, so I didn't get into too much trouble.
I was going to say, you couldn't. Yeah. Now with Mr. D around. You know what's funny, Matt, is it's when I drive out to Auburn and go talk to restaurants and do our other show, and I mention the DelPianos. They all know you guys. They knew your father. Oh, I had him in school. Great family. That's all I hear about you. Your whole family. Everybody said you're some of the nicest people they've ever known. So it's a big compliment to your mom and your dad.
Very nice.
And raising you guys and everything else. So I just kind of wanted to fill you in on that. So did you play sports in school?
I did. I played football.
Played football. Okay.
I did.
And
I loved it. And I played a little bit in college, but basically, got killed in college. So I quit my sophomore year, midway through my sophomore year. I quit. I figured if I wasn't going to play in the pros, why am I killing myself?
Right. So I want to know how you got after college. I want to know how you got into what you're doing today. How did that all come about?
Well, I was always a movie fan and television fan, and when I was 5 years old, I told my mother I was moving to Los Angeles, and I think it was just a product of seeing, watching television and seeing filmed in Hollywood, and I knew that's where I wanted to be, and I didn't know how I was going to get there, but there was always something inside of me that knew I was coming to LA. And so after I graduated college, I moved back home for a year to raise some money or make money. And I worked for 1 year and bought a car and had $2,500 in my pocket, and I moved out to LA.
No kidding. Really?
Yeah, I didn't know anybody.
No job or nothing.
No job. I had a cousin who I had never met that lived out here, two cousins actually, from Rome. Pat and Joe DiCaprio.
Okay.
And when I first came out to visit, I met them for the first time. And my cousin Pat, who was they live in Orange County, which is about an hour south of LA. Pat said, "Oh, you can stay with me till you get a job." So I moved out and stayed with my cousin Pat, and I bought a book called How to Make It in Hollywood.
Wow.
It was written by it was written by a woman. It was written by a woman named Linda Bazell, and halfway through the book, she said the best place to learn about the business is to get a job in the mailroom in a talent agency, and she listed all the big talent agencies at the time: CAA, William Morris, ICM, and she listed CAA first. So I called CAA, and shockingly, I got a job in the mailroom. I made one call. That was my job search in Hollywood.
Really? No kidding. So that's how you got into, because that's where you end up working for 26 years. I mean, you started at the bottom of the barrel there, and you worked your way up. So tell us a little bit.
It wasn't even. I was just going to say that there was a training program that they had at the time, but I didn't even get into that. The job I got there was a minimum wage job in the mailroom. Can't move up in the company, because the training program was full, and I didn't even know what the training program was, so it didn't bother me at all. I just wanted a job.
Wow. So how did you excel from going to that all the way up the chain?
When I tell you the story, you're going to think that I was planned it, because just of the way it unfolded, but I didn't at all. I was always focused on just doing the best job I could with the job that I had. And I ended up working in the mailroom for about 10 months, and then somehow started working for Ron Meyer, who was the president of the company and one of the founders of the company. And how that happened was I was in the mailroom with about 15 other people. They were all trainees, and they were all, had aspirations to be agents. And when I started there, I didn't even know what an agent was, really. I was just happy to have a job and did whatever I was told. And during my time there, I learned what an agent was and decided that I wanted to be that. But at the time, I was still trying to figure out what all the jobs were in town and learning my way. And there's all different types of people in the workplace. It's not just Hollywood. I'm sure it's in any profession at all. But there's people that are happy that are there. There's people that feel like they're entitled and they should be doing something better. And I was one of those people who was just happy to be there. And whenever anybody asked me to do something, I was very happy to do it. And Ron Meyer's office would call down and say, "Oh, Ron needs this done. Ron wants that done." And like I said, I was just always happy to do it, whether it was going to get a milkshake or picking up his dry cleaning. And so instead of them calling down to the mailroom asking whoever answered the phone, eventually they would call down and say, "Is Matt there?" and ask me to do it. And that turned into a full-time job as one of Ron's assistants.
Wow. Imagine that. See, that's what hard work, man, and just doing what you got to do to get to that next level.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
And
so I want to hear about some of the clients you worked with over there. I mean, it's a pretty nice list of people you worked with.
Oh, over the years, there were just so many talented actors and people that I worked with. I've been very lucky to continue to work with some of them, like Alec Baldwin, who I've worked with for 20 years now, James Caan, who I've worked with for a number of years. But over the years, I've worked with people like Al Pacino and Tommy Lee Jones and Mariah Carey and Angelina Jolie and Jennifer Lopez and Halle Berry, and there's just been wonderful group of actors that I'm very proud to work with.
Yeah, that's amazing. What a list of names. That's got to be so cool.
It's very cool, and I sometimes I pinch myself when I think about the people that I've met, having been in this business for so long, and when I think about that I met Marlon Brando, I was like, how the heck did that happen?
Right, exactly.
But
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You know what? How is it working with some of these people, though, some of these actors and stuff, on a personal level?
A lot. They're so talented, and the thing that struck me the most initially was they're human. They're human beings, so there's insecurities there, and you watch them on the screen, and you think, they're so great at what they do. How could they be insecure about anything?
Right.
But they're just like us. They have insecurities about their careers, about jobs that they take, and the other odd thing about it that feeds into that insecurity is they're always looking for the next job. They take a job, and 2 months later they're unemployed again.
Right.
So it's not like most of us who have a long-term job, and we don't have to wake up every day thinking where our next job's coming from.
Sure. Right. Yeah. You know what? I know you brought up a good point. That is a great point when you think about it, because some of these actors they play a role in a movie, but now after that movie's done, you're looking for that next gig, right?
And a lot of times it's 2 weeks.
Right.
They'll take a job on a movie, and they only work 2 weeks, and then they're available again.
Wow, I know. I think as people who watch these movies, we just think that they're continuously working and doing stuff to bring in the money. But like you said, it's a constant battle, really.
And you think that because they're rich and famous and they're big movie stars, that there's never times where they need a job. But I sat in many staff meetings where we would talk around the table and say, Tom Cruise doesn't have his next job.
Wow!
And so we
Imagine
that. We need to find Tom a job.
Yeah.
And so the layman would probably sit there and think he's probably got jobs lined up for the next 10 years.
Right.
But it doesn't quite work that way.
Right. Now you got a little neat story with Alec Baldwin. Is he part of the family, in a way?
So pretty much he is. He's when I was Ron Meyer's assistant, he was Ron's client.
Okay.
And so that's how I met him 25 years ago. And, his mother lives in Camillus. Mm-hmm. And so it was really funny in the beginning where I would go home to see my folks in Auburn, and Camillus is 5 miles from Auburn. And he would go home, he would go for Christmas to see his mother, and we'd all get together and have dinner. It was pretty great.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
He's been so good to me and such a great friend. And when I left CAA, I told him I didn't want to be in this business without him.
No kidding. Yeah. So he's just a down-to-earth guy off camera.
He's the greatest. He's the greatest. He's Long Island Irish through and through.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Now I got to ask you something. Do you attend with the Emmys and the Grammys at any of these big events?
Yes, I went to the Golden Globes and the Emmys, I think 10 years in a row. I've been to the Oscars 4 times. They're great. They're a lot of fun. Like anything else, the first couple times are more exciting than the last couple times.
Right.
But, it's another pinch me moment where you're sitting there thinking, how did I get here?
I was going to say, just to kind of look around at all the tables, in between stuff and just looking seeing all these megastars has got to be pretty wild scene over there.
I've had two moments really quickly that I still can't believe it. One of them was Alec hosted the NFL honors for I think he did it like 2 or 3 years, and me being a lifetime Bills fan, I saw Jim Kelly and I just made a beeline to him and started talking to him, and he couldn't have been nicer. And while I was talking to him, Joe Namath and Joe Montana came up. And
Wow.
Jim Kelly introduced me to Joe Namath and Joe Montana.
No kidding.
and I was sitting in the circle talking to them going, what is going on?
Oh, my God.
I had a similar moment. We had an MTV Movie Awards party one year, and I was introduced to, I didn't know it when I was introduced to her, but I was introduced to Rod Stewart's daughter, and we were talking, and next thing I know, she looks over my shoulder, and she's like, hi, Daddy, and Rod Stewart comes up, and so while the three of us were talking, Eric Clapton and Don Henley come up, and so I'm in this circle with Rod Stewart, Eric Clapton, and Don Henley, and I'm like, what is going on?
That is nuts. That's crazy.
I know.
I'd be starstruck. I mean, I don't know, maybe because you worked around a lot of these people before and stuff, but just, I mean, the music is a little...
No, you're pretty starstruck.
You still are.
I was pretty starstruck.
Yeah.
I was pretty starstruck.
I was going to say Kelly had to be great, especially being a Buffalo fan, and to see everything he's went through and everything else, and to see a guy who, you know, I mean, that's a legendary name in Buffalo, man. To meet him had to be pretty special.
I told him I was at the first game he played as a Bill, and then of course he rattled off who they played against, what the score was. That was all gone out of my head, but he knew everything.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a cool story. Now, L.A., New York, a little bit different. This, to me, I always got to ask the guests about the food out there. Now, obviously, you grew up in Auburn, New York. Great food in New York. I think it's probably some of the best food in all of the United States. But what's the food like out in L.A., and what are some of your favorite places to eat out in L.A.?
Well, I'm not hugely picky, so all the fancy Wolfgang Puck places they're nice, but they're not my first choice. You know, I'm a big old school Italian place guy, so I love those kind of places. There's a place called Matteo's, which was an old Frank Sinatra hangout. It was started by a friend of his named Matty Jordan in 1963. And it's still going strong, so I go there a lot. You know the famous Rayos in New York City. They opened up one out here in L.A., which I love, and it's decorated for Christmas 24/7.
Yeah,
which is a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. So
and then there's other places like the Grill, which is a Beverly Hills haunt that is pretty popular. But then there's all the famous, you know, the fancy places that people go to, like the Palm and you know, Wolfgang Puck Spago and those kind of places.
Is there a lot of mom and pop places out in LA, or is it more bigger chains, or more of the you know, spotty places out there? You know, like obviously here in New York we got a lot of mom and pop places, small little diners and stuff. But LA, there can't be too many, is there?
There's still some around. You know, obviously COVID, they took a big hit. But what they've started, I don't know, they've probably done this in New York too, but what they started to do out here is to create outdoor spaces so that they can stay open.
Yep.
So they turn the parking lot into a dining, you know, outdoor dining area, and a lot of places have done that.
Yeah. Now, being out in LA, you still a Bills fan? Diehard Bills
100%.
fan? So are you getting any acclimate to any of the LA teams out there, being out there so long? Or no.
No.
Lakers, Clippers.
We didn't have a football team for many years.
Right.
You know, it was just this year. I love going to Dodger games. Dodger games are the best. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Basketball games I've been to here and there, but you know, CAA has a box, so we would go to the box there and watch a couple games. But I was never a big, you know, I didn't run there 10 times a season or anything.
Right. How is it that at Dodger Stadium? Is it as nice? I mean, we see it on TV, and it's just the view from behind and everything. It's just very like laid back stadium, and it just looks like a really good. I actually saw a game there when my parents took us out there, 1978. Ooh, guys like Dusty Baker and Davey Lopes and Ron Say were playing, and I remember that stadium. It just, I mean, I don't think they've really done much to it in all these years.
They've renovated behind home plate.
Okay.
So now there's a restaurant down there, and it's one of those, you pay a lot more. You pay a lot more, and you get dinner, and you can order food. They have a waiter that comes, and you can order food while you're sitting in your seat.
Oh,
so
wow.
if you can experience that, it's pretty great.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are you a big baseball fan?
I'm a big baseball fan because of my brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of wherever he is. So right now I'm a Yankee
So
fan.
you're a Yankee fan. I didn't bring up the point to him, and I think he actually knows this, that I'm an Astros fan. So we didn't want to get into a heated discussion about the Yanks and Astros when he was I don't think I mentioned that, but I think he knows I'm an Astro fan because when he was working with Pittsburgh, I think I wanted to reach out to him when Houston was in town and go try to catch a Pirates game against Houston. But I'm not going anywhere New York Yankee Stadium for a while wearing an Astros jersey. I'd be lucky to come out of there alive.
I have to say that as much as I've done in the entertainment business, I've never done anything as exciting as going to the World Series with my brother in '03, where I went to every game, and to watch, at the time, the Marlins, which were all kids, they were all 22, 23 years old, go in and beat the Yankees. It was so exciting. It was a fantastic experience.
I was going to say that had to be that. We talked about that when he was on the show, and I mean they were kids, like you said. They were kids going up against a Yankee team. It was veterans and players who've been around. But boy, what a run that was for the Marlins that season. It was pretty exciting. But then you look at the names now, and a lot of them turned into mega stars. Know, but they, at the time,
Pudge Rodriguez.
Yeah. Yep. I mean,
a lot of those,
a lot of great. So that was pretty cool. So Matt, you seem to be pretty busy, I think. But what do you like to do in your spare time? What does Matt DelPiano do in his spare time?
Well, I have two kids that keep me pretty busy, and right now I'm in a Fortnite craze with my son.
Oh, man.
We're playing Fortnite.
I was going to say, that's a popular game here, too. I know. A lot of the kids are playing. How old are your kids, by the way?
My daughter, Bella, is 13, and my son is 11.
Wow.
Luke.
Okay. Now, are they into anything sports-wise or anything like
my
that?
My son plays Little League, which is a lot of fun.
Okay.
I can't tell if he likes it or not.
Still up in the air?
Yeah. I live in Encino, which is in the valley in the northern part of Los Angeles, and it has one of the best Little League programs. So I force him to play because I love it. So I love watching him so much.
Yeah. That's the one thing I do miss with my son growing up and everything else is going to watch the games. When the kid, to me, to watch a Little League game, Pony League game at that level, at that age, that to me is baseball and sports because the kids are out there playing the game just because they love to play the game. There's no big contracts. They're not playing and it's just. And the kids are all having fun out there. And to me, that's a bit. And I don't know. And Matt, I've been a sports fan my whole life. I'm probably one of the. I mean, I'll watch every Astro game, every Buccaneer game, every Knicks game. I'm a huge fan. But over the years, some of the stuff that's been going on has kind of really brought me down a little bit. And I'm thinking, what? I invested a lot of time in watching these games and stuff. But I said, I still got to go to work the next day. If they lose, I would take a loss, probably worse than they did. But to go and watch Little League games and kids playing that and you're all shaking hands and just having fun out there, I think that's what gets lost when these guys get these big contracts and stuff and move on. It's just having fun out there, man. You get paid a lot of money to play a game and to enjoy. I watch some of these guys; they look miserable out there playing. I go, I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I think baseball fans were frustrated this season. With the players' union holding out, to trying to get their full salaries. Right. When it's obvious that everybody's has to suffer here. So I think they have to look at the bigger picture of it. But we've also created that in our sports, and it's very money driven.
Yeah, yeah.
All of our sports are now.
Yeah, I know. It's too bad. It's something I hope that maybe we could get to. This is, like I said, it's been a tough year with everything going on and stuff, so I'm kind of hoping we get through. I mean, I know sports are starting to get back into it. I'm just hoping things don't get shut down again, because that'd be kind of disappointing, especially as a fan.
Well, I'd like to get the movie theaters back up and running, I'll tell you that.
That's another thing I'm saying. So what's going on right now in the industry with movies and stuff?
Well, there's a lot of development. They're still spending money on developing movies. They're hiring writers and television shows, but there's no production right now. They're slowly starting to come back now. Hopefully by September, October, we'll get a number of productions up and running, but nobody, there's no actors working right now.
Yeah, boy, that's got.
There is one movie. They're finishing up Jurassic Park, but I think that's in New Zealand or Australia, where COVID isn't as bad as it is in the States and in Europe.
Right. So everything's still shut down in Hollywood with movie production and all that right now. Wow, that's got to be strange, especially out where you are, to see nothing going on.
It's very strange.
Wow. Yeah, I know it. So, Matt, I want to talk about your new venture and your new career in cavalry management. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, I had a client named Dana Brunetti who was a producer. He was partners with Kevin Spacey for many years, who I represented for 10 years. And he had left and got financing for a new company and asked me to come aboard. And at the time when he asked me, I wasn't ready. And I had been at CAA for so long. And 2 summers ago, I flew to Thailand to sign all the kids that were rescued in the cave, and also went to Australia and signed 2 of the divers that participated in the rescue. And I came back from that trip, sitting in staff meetings at CAA, and thought about maybe there's something else I should do, and contacted Dana again, and he had already started cavalry like 6 months prior. And we decided to start working together, and I left CAA, and I started a management division, and I'm also producing with him, which is a lot of fun as well. So I'm very happy to have all my time back and be able to focus on stuff that I'm excited about. So I'm managing talent, actors and writers and directors, as well as trying to put movies together and produce them.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And it's just too bad that everything's shut down right now. So I know. Right?
But the development stuff is fun. Look, we have one of the first things I did was I had been friendly with Lionel Richie and called him and took him to dinner and said, we want to do a movie with his music. And he said, sounds good to me. So we went out and looked for a writer, and a guy named Pete Chiarelli, who co-wrote Crazy Rich Asians, and he came up with a fictional story, and he weaved in about 15 of Lionel's songs, and Lionel loved it, and we went out and pitched it to the town, and Disney bought it. So he's writing that. Yeah, so that's stuff like that's a lot of fun, and we just did the same thing. I'm going to work with REO Speedwagon on their music, and try and find a writer who can do something with their music as well.
So is this going to be a story about them?
No. It's going to be a fictional story like La La Land or Mamma Mia.
Okay. Oh yeah.
It's going to
use their music. Oh, that's pretty cool. Lionel Richie. Yeah. He's
the greatest.
Yeah, he's great. And Commodores, I love the Commodores growing up, but some about his music, man. He just talk about a guy who seems to really enjoy what he's doing. I mean,
enjoys it and is so kind and nice. I mean, I got the greatest call from him during this COVID stuff, and he said that, it was like a pep talk with me. He's like, you're gonna come out better the other end. I promise you. At the other, and when this is over, everything's gonna be better for you. I said, thanks, Lionel.
That's pretty nice coming from Lionel Richie.
I know.
That's pretty cool. So
Very nice of him.
tell us a little bit about this job and what you're doing for people who are just tuning in, and kind of explain a little bit about, what it involves.
Well, it's producing movies and television shows.
Okay.
And so whether that's getting IP, getting some properties, whether it's optioning a book and developing it into a TV show or a movie, or doing stuff like I just said with Lionel Richie and his music and developing that into a movie. So the idea is to get 2 or 3 movies a year made and have 2 or 3 television shows on the air.
Wow.
It's pushing the rock up the hill. So every day you have to do what you can to keep things moving, because it's a difficult and competitive business. But it's a lot of fun. So doing that, as well as helping on the management side with managing careers of artists and fighting for what they want and trying to get them the best possible jobs that are out there for them in their career.
So are you going to be a little more hands-on with the actors with this?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be doing the same. Same type of stuff I did as an agent, but I think I'll be able to be more involved as a manager and have like I said, I have more time as a manager than I did as an agent.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what are some of the difficulties with this type of job?
Well, on the representation side, it's stressful because there's no guarantees, and you could be fired at any minute. I've seen clients win Oscars and fire their agents. So there's no guarantee on if a client's doing well, you could get fired. If a client's not doing well, you could get fired.
Right.
So that's the stressful part about it.
Yeah. So what do you think some of the best qualities of the jobs you've been doing over the last 26 years? I mean, what do you like about this type of work?
There's a huge satisfaction in helping people, and I think that's what really this job is, and helping somebody move their career forward, or getting something that a client really wants. I never loved the negotiations. I never loved negotiating salary. That was, we're offering this, no, we want X. Okay, then let's agree to Y. That was pretty simple and not very exciting. But going out and getting a job for somebody that that they really want, or that is going to be really good for them, that was incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, I bet. That's pretty cool. Now, are you going to have more time to be able to come back to the area? I mean, do you get a chance to come back to Auburn much to see the family?
Yeah, I usually would come back at least twice a year. We'd come for a month in July, and I would come for Christmas. So always at least twice a year. But hopefully, when COVID goes away, hopefully I can get there more often now.
Yeah, I was going to say. So you must have some crazy stories being in Hollywood. Can you tell us a few of them? You got a couple of really good stories?
Oh gosh.
This is what people want to hear. They want to hear the juicy gossip stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And I do too. I kind of want to hear some of the crazy stories that you might have.
There's not too much crazy stuff. The business has gotten very corporate over the last 10, 15 years. So, I think the really crazy stories you hear are from the 80s and before, in the 70s and 80s, when drugs were more fashionable and all that other crazy stuff. So as far as that stuff goes, I didn't really see that much of it, and because I really didn't partake in any of it either. So,
right.
I was doing my job and going home when I can. Although I did enjoy, the business is very social, and it's a lot about relationships. So there was a lot of, when they had those, they have a lot less of them now, but they used to have movie premieres, and they were big extravagant parties and that kind of thing. So those were a lot of fun, and you got to meet everybody in town. And when you do it for long enough, it's all the same people at these events now, and you know them all, so
Right.
you can kind of slow down on that. But just about how to help people get jobs. There's a huge creative aspect to that, and for an example I can give, I knew that Alec really wanted to work with Marty Scorsese, and he had never had. And they were casting the Howard Hughes movie he did with Leonardo DiCaprio, The Aviator. And there was a role in it that I thought Alec would be really great at, and it was the role of Juan Trippe, who ran Pan Am Airlines. And I took Alec to a party that Irwin Winkler had at his house for Marty. It was right when Gangs of New York came out. Mm-hmm. And Alec had never met Marty, and so I introduced him to Marty, and I didn't know him either. I just went up to him and introduced myself and said I wanted you to meet somebody, and I turned around and Alec was behind me, and I said, "This is Juan Trippe," and and so that started a conversation.
That's
and
great.
Ultimately, a couple months later, he ended up getting the job, but. Alec at the time was, "I can't believe you did that." And I said to him, "If I'm afraid of these people, I'm never going to get you a job."
Right.
So there's a lot of creativity in trying to, in being an agent and trying to get people good jobs.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a great story, by the way. That must have been pretty. I mean, that's hilarious. I probably would have been like Alec. I probably was just like, "What are you doing?" Just kind of like you said, you never met the guy before. So Matt, in this career you've been doing, who are some of the most influential people that have kind of guided you through this whole thing?
Geez, there's so many. Ron Meyer being number one. Ron left William Morris in 1975 and started CAA with 4 other people. And he left CAA 3 years after I started there to go run Universal Studios, and he's still there.
Wow.
And he's been an incredible friend and mentor. I don't think I could have had a better one. But, there's been others as well. A guy named Rick Nacita, who was also owner at CAA, and Kevin Huvane, who's still one of the managing directors there. So there's been a bunch on the agency side that have been really great. And then there's other people that have just been in the business for a long time that I'm lucky enough to say that I can ask for advice. Jeffrey Katzenberg is somebody who I went to when I was thinking about leaving to go talk to, and I've been very, very lucky to have those kind of mentors. Larry Gordon, who's a longtime producer in Hollywood, who produced the Die Hard movies and Field of Dreams, and he's used to run 20th Century Fox for a number of years. I've been very lucky to have those mentors and be able to call them and ask them for advice, and it's very important.
Oh, absolutely, man! It sounds like there's some great names there. I mean, there's some great names there,
and they're great. They're great people. They're great people too.
I want to ask you. I mean, growing up in Auburn and moving out to L.A., do you like L.A.? Do you like living out in L.A.?
The only thing I don't like about LA is the traffic. That's the only thing I don't like about LA. It's pretty bad. It used to be when I first got here, the weekends there were no traffic. You could drive around on the weekends; it wouldn't be a problem. And then there was rush hour, so you could if you could stay away from getting on the freeways from 8 to 10, then the rest of the day is okay. And then again at 4 to 6. But now it's just every time, and it doesn't matter what time it is. You get out there at 5 in the morning, you get out there at 5 in the afternoon, the traffic's awful.
It's just nonstop.
But I love being the weather. You can't beat the weather. You can go skiing in the mountains and swimming in the ocean in the same day.
Yeah,
which is pretty great.
Yeah, when I lived out in Reno back in 1991. We used to go up to Tahoe once a month, and this was all new to me. I'd see people, going skiing down with a hoodie on and shorts. They get down at the bottom of the hill and then they jump in the water. I go, what the frick? I go, that's crazy. I just didn't realize that. I loved actually.
How long did you live in Reno?
I was out there about a year and a half. I was out in Reno about a year and a half. I worked at the casinos out there, Baldini's Casino, the Flamingo Hilton.
I have a great Reno story, but I can't tell you here.
Oh, you can't? I can only imagine. It could be a place that I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it because I have a feeling. We'll talk about this after when we get off the air. But there are a couple places in Reno that I might have an idea what you're talking about. I want to hear about that. I actually loved living out there. The weather was great. In the wintertime, you maybe got an inch in the morning. By 10:30, 11, when that sun came out, gone, melted. And even the summers, when they hit 100, it was just dry heat. I mean, I could be outside all day. I liked it out there. I think I loved Reno. I didn't care for Vegas that much. Vegas was a little too fast for me. I was 21 at the time, too. So, you get hooked up in a lot of things. Everything's open. Half the places didn't even have doors on them. So you can, any time of the night, you can go out and do stuff. And but I liked the West Coast. The one thing I did not like about the West Coast is I didn't like the fans out there. It was diehard Raider fans.
Oh.
It was diehard. I mean, and I thought New York fans were obnoxious. I hated LA fans more in the West Coast.
Yeah, but LA fans don't care. I mean, the Dodger fans, sixth inning they're gone. Fifth inning half the people are gone. Nobody's. When you try to compare them to like the Yankees or Boston, I think you can't compare them.
Right.
LA's kind of fair weather. They got 100 other things they could be doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just a lax type of people. Like you said, they get there late, they leave early, go watch a few innings. Man, must be nice. Go to New York, you get a couple of tickets. Man, it costs you, it's a couple paychecks to go watch a game. I'm staying the whole 9 innings, plus I want extra innings. So, that was the one thing. I think the West Coast was beautiful. And to be honest, if I could have got a buddy of mine to move out there, and I tried. I said, if I can get one buddy out there, because my uncle was manager at one of the casinos, I said, you guys come out here, we'll get an apartment together. I probably would have stayed, but I couldn't get one of my friends to leave New York to come out there and venture with me, which, but, I mean, obviously, I would love to go back out there and just visit and stuff, but like you said, LA was different. When we were in town, like you said, it was just the traffic, to me, would be the hardest part about living out there. The beaches and everything else.
They're great, and to be able to go to a concert or go to a game, and it's all right here. That's pretty. Yeah. It's pretty nice. I think about, my parents weren't. I mean, things were different there because it was, I think, harder to get tickets. But when I said to my father one time, because I sometimes I go back and I look to see who went through Syracuse when I was a kid.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I could have saw Frank Sinatra.
Right.
I could have saw Elvis. Elvis played Syracuse in like 1976.
Did he really?
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my father was like, I didn't know how to get tickets.
Right.
And
right.
it is true because you had to either go to record store. I think they sold tickets out of record stores.
They did, yeah. Actually, they did.
Yeah.
That's right. God, places like Record Giant and some of the local places, right? A lot of record places, you go there and get your tickets. Actually, even Big Apple, I still thinks that they sell tickets out of there. Kind of old school, which is kind of nice. Yeah, I know a lot of you got to go through online and get your tickets and stuff now. I used to like just standing in line for 2 hours and talking with people, waiting for my tickets at 4 in the morning. I guess that's just the old school in me and stuff. So
yeah, you don't have to do that anymore.
You don't have to do that anymore. So Matt, we're coming towards the end of the show, but now things get a little difficult. You're going to be joining a segment of the show called the Penalty Box segment. There it is. Does that put a little fear in you? Just hearing that lightning bolt, thunderbolt? It's easy, man. But it's just some questions I kind of came up with just to hear a little behind Matt DelPiano, out of the industry of the actors and movies and all that. So 5 easy questions. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm
All
ready.
right. All right, buddy. Favorite meal?
Oh gosh, veal parm.
Ah, that's one of my favorite too. You got a place out in LA that you got to get your veal parm from?
The 2 places I mentioned, Rayo's and Mateo's.
Yeah, good veal parm, huh? They
Yeah.
got good sauce too.
Yep, good sauce. There's a place, by the way, there's a place in New York called Patsy's. You ever heard of it?
Patsy's, yeah. Oh yeah.
It's another, not the pizza place. It's Patsy's on 56th Street.
Yep.
And it was another Sinatra haunt. And it's the only place I've ever been able to find a restaurant that has stuffed squid, like my grandfather used to make. I can't find it anywhere else.
That's tough
Amazing.
to find. But I think we got some of that in Utica. I think a couple places in Utica sell the stuffed calamari. Yeah.
Right.
That's one of my favorite. Christmas Eve, man.
Yeah.
There was nothing better than stuffed calamari. My God, with some
Nothing
linguine
better.
on the side. Oh God. You must eat good when you come home.
Yes. Well, my mother cooks. You kidding me? She cooks like crazy when I come home.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, she's got to. Okay, veal parm, great answer. Favorite band or musician?
Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Jesus, did your brother tell me that too? Why do I want to say
Probably.
that I think he did. How many times have you seen him? I think he told me he's seen him a bunch of times. Have you
I've
seen him
seen
a lot?
him over 100 and I don't know, over 100 times for sure.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty nut about it.
Yeah. Well, you can't go wrong. I mean, the guy's fantastic, man. He's puts on a hell of a
Unbelievable.
show. Yeah. Plus a New Jersey kid, which is pretty cool. Okay. So what
Yep.
about the greatest moment in your career so far?
The greatest moment in my career was I was at the Golden Globes, and Alec won a Golden Globe, and he thanked me on national television. But that
Wow.
wasn't that wasn't the greatest moment. The greatest moment was after that happened. Ron Meyer, who I mentioned, comes. I see him on the other side of the room, and he comes up to me and gives me a hug and says, "I'm so proud of you."
Oh, that's awesome. That's
was
got
the
to be
greatest
pretty
moment.
cool. Yeah. That's got to be cool from what you started with his company and to where you got today, and somebody like Alec Baldwin thanking you, and that's pretty cool, man. That had to be pretty emotional for you.
It was.
Yeah, pretty neat. That's a great story. What about a bucket list client that you would love to work with? Who would that be?
Now?
Yeah. Is there somebody out there that you would love to work with? Even before. Even before. It could be any time. Is there one person you would have loved to work with?
Sure. I mean, there's a ton, but gosh, I would have loved to have worked with Clint Eastwood. I would have loved to work with Michael Landon. I loved Michael Landon.
Yeah.
I would have loved to work with Jack Nicholson. I mean, there's a ton.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I know there's got to be so many. That's pretty cool.
I'm just happy that I got to meet them.
Did you get to meet Jack Nicholson?
I did. I met Jack Nicholson. I met Clint Eastwood. I have a picture with my daughter and Clint Eastwood. It was so funny. I was at an event at Gary Sinise's foundation, and I asked Clint if he would take a picture with my daughter, and he did. And Bella turns to me and said, "Who's that, Daddy?" I said, "You'll find out one day. Don't worry."
I actually saw that picture of your daughter and him.
Yeah.
That's a great picture.
Yeah.
That's
really
cool.
good
Yeah,
picture.
when she gets older and she realizes who it is, that's a great picture to hold on to.
Right?
That's pretty neat. Okay, last question for you. If you could sit down and have dinner with anybody, whether they passed on, still around, you have their veal parmesan dinner, who would that person be and why? Who would you like to just sit down with and shoot the shit with? Who would that person? There it is. Look at that picture.
There's the picture.
Is that awesome? That's awesome. How is he?
Isn't that great?
How is Clint to talk with?
Oh, he's great. He's very quiet.
Is
He's
he?
very quiet, but very nice.
That's pretty cool. That's a great picture.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
That is awesome. Yeah.
If I could have
You
dinner
could
with
dinner
anybody.
with anybody, and just whether they passed on, they're still around, just to catch up and shoot the shit with, pick their brain. Who would that be?
It'd have to be my grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd have to be my grandfather. I miss my grandparents so much. They were they were Romans through and through.
Yeah. Yeah. They're great people.
I never, my grandfather worked at Rome Manufacturing for pretty much his whole career, and my other grandfather worked at the base for his whole career, and they were. I was always amazed at how content they were. I said to my grandfather DelPiano one time, I said, "Pop," I said, "you've never been west of Chicago. I was like, did you ever want to go and see places?" He's like, "Everything I need is right here, Matt." He's like, "I don't need anything else."
Yeah. Old school. Old school, man.
School.
That's how it was back in the day, man. Your grandparents stayed in the same with my grandpa Vincey. Really, besides going out to Reno to see my Uncle Carl, he never really left Rome, and it's just kind of the way they were. They didn't care to travel. Like we like this,
and they didn't care about the Joneses either.
Yeah, right.
They
right.
They had what they needed, and they loved going to their job.
Yeah,
and they may not have made a ton of money, but they didn't need a ton of money.
Right.
He still put 4 boys through college, and was home at 3:00 every day, and
yeah,
it was pretty amazing.
The simple life. That's how right? Compared to today. Well, Matt, I got to say, man, it was great catching up with you, man. It's probably been, 30, 35 plus years since I see you, man, and stuff. And it was good to see you and your brother. And like I told Mark, man, I'm extremely happy for you guys. Very proud that we got to hang out when we were kids and stuff, and to see what you guys are doing now is amazing, man. And whenever I go to Auburn, I know I filmed a couple shows out there. Your dad always made a point to come and visit me when I was out there filming, which was really neat, and I always appreciate that. But I'm happy for you, man. I'm excited to see what you're going to do in this new venture, and expect to hear big things, man. We may have to catch up again in a year and see how the job's going and see what's going on. Everything hopefully will be back and up and running again, and right? And you might have some cool stuff out there.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Bill. And I just hope that I get more viewers than my brother. That's the only thing I'm hoping for.
Well, I was just, I was going to mention that. I think your brother is up near the 6,000, 7,000 range. So he's got a good audience. So we're going to put a little pressure on. Mark, if you're listening, man, pressure's on. You got to keep sharing that video. He doesn't have social media, so you might have a chance to blow by him. That's fun. That's great. That's hilarious. Well, guys, I just wanted to thank our sponsors one more time before we end the show here. I want to thank Joey's at 307 and Out of the Way Cafe, Matt Grabsky. Awesome, man. Thank you for sponsoring the show again. Geddes Bakery in Syracuse, the Pappas family. Thank you, guys. And Angelo's Pizza, Matt in Auburn, New York. Thank you guys for being a proud sponsor of our show. And for everybody listening, if you didn't catch the live feed of this, it's going to be on our Facebook page. It'll be on YouTube. Make sure you give it a share, a like, take a listen, and spread the word on Matt's great story. And I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot of good things from him coming up in the future. And who knows, Matt? Maybe one day I'll get that second interview with the Food Network, and I might be joining you in LA to maybe do some filming. Who the hell knows? I got
if I get a movie going, if I get a movie going, I'll get you a part.
Mate, that would be wonderful. Just get me with some food in front of me. I'll be happy, man. Matt, always good to talk to you, man. I'm so glad I got to be a part of it, talking with you and hearing your story, man. You stay safe. Tell the family I said hello, and we'll catch up soon. I'll stay in touch with you, though.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Buddy. All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for tuning in for No Time for Nonsense. Next week, we're going to have trickster drummer Gus. I'm so excited to see Gus Scott. Man, he's going to be joining us. If you're a 90s band, hair band, this guy's going to be fun to talk to. So stay tuned next Monday night, 7 to 8, and join us for that. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm Bill Vinci, host of No Time for Nonsense. You guys have a great night. We'll see you next week. Hey, Matt. Oh.